everyone, it is time for a new Q&A video. In case you didn't know, these questions all come from members of the Patreon campaign who are on a particular tier of the campaign. So if you're interested in sending in a question for this monthly Q&A video, check that campaign out. It'll have all the instructions right there. We're going to jump into it today. I've got 4 questions to hit, and the very first one comes from Evan. Evan asks, what do you think of when you hear the word successful? I was so glad to have a question like this in the mix this month because I think it's an important question to keep on the top of your mind and to always answer, because the answer can change often, and the answer has changed a lot for me over the years, looking back to the very beginning of my career, and specifically the individuals I looked at, and they would make me think, oh, if I could get their job, if I could get to their position, I'll be good right there. That answer has changed time and time again. Way back then, I never would have imagined that our little movie blogging world would have grown into what it is today, which is essentially companies that offer you the opportunity to cover film and make a living. So considering how much it changes over the years, the one constant that I like to keep in the forefront of my mind with answering this question is specifically happiness and fulfillment. If I feel happy and fulfilled with what I'm doing for a job on a daily basis, and I'm also making a living, that to me would make me a successful person. So the making a living thing is pretty important, but ultimately I don't think I could ever have a job that I'm not happy doing every single day, and one that fulfills and excites me too, and challenges me as well. So while I think my end goal will always be changing and moving and morphing into something new, maybe that I'm not expecting right now, ultimately the constants are happiness and fulfillment. Now we're moving on to question number 2, and this one comes from Ryan. Ryan asks, when do you think a film that was released in the first half of the year will win Best Picture at the Oscars? It has happened before, and the 2 examples that come to mind are The Hurt Locker, which hit theaters in June of 2009, and then of course we had Gladiator. It hit theaters in May of 2000, so it's not unheard of for this to happen. It's just a little more of a challenge. With Oscar voting, you want to have your movie be on the top of voters' minds. And when a movie comes out earlier in the year, it just makes sense that you have to keep that momentum going for much longer than, let's say, a movie that hits theaters between, I don't know, September during the film festival circuit all the way through December at the end of the year, when we start to vote on not just Oscars, but all the other awards and the Guild Awards that are happening right now. So while it is a big challenge, it's not unheard of. When I'm looking at this year in particular, I think the movie that comes into question is Black Panther. And while I don't think Black Panther is going to go on to secure a Best Picture win, I still think it's totally possible that that movie goes from February all the way through to award season and winds up earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. Of course, there are still so many movies coming out between now and then, so yeah, maybe my answer would change, but at this point in time, I do think it has a chance at getting that nomination. Moving on to my 3rd question now, it's from Michael, and Michael asks, what was the best part of San Diego ComicCon? I have a few answers to this question, but if I had to pick one to put at the absolute top of the list, it would probably be seeing the entire community come together. This was a challenging Comic-Con, but I was really thankful to be there with my Collider team every single day, and then to see our extended family from other companies, from people who aren't even on the film journalism side, just all come together and be so loving and supportive. That is probably going to define my San Diego ComicCon 2018 for the rest of my life when I look back on this particular con, and it was something very special to me. Looking at particular events, though, I would say my favorite thing about Comic-Con now, or at least what's becoming my favorite thing, assuming they continue it, which I think they will, is Scare Diego. New Line Cinema is basically making its mark on Wednesday night of Comic-Con, where they did Scare Diego last year, in particular with Annabelle Creation and It. Now this year, they brought It Chapter 2, The Curse of La Llorona, and also The Nun, and then they made that Annabelle announcement, and as a horror lover and as someone who is really into this Conjuring cinematic universe that they're building, to have the opening night of this event just be a celebration of that and getting a sneak peek at footage and hearing announcements and just being in that theater with a whole bunch of people who are really excited about that franchise, that was one heck of a way to kick off this year's con. The other thing that will always stand out to me about SDCC 2018 was the opportunity to get to host my first panel. So I knew that the Impulse panel wasn't in Ballroom 20 or Hall H. So at first I'm like, cool, okay. There's no way there could be that many seats in that room because I'd never seen a panel in the Indigo Ballroom before. Then I peeked in the room and there were a lot of seats, well over 1,000 seats, and it was incredibly intimidating. But that whole day was just something else, between having Dorian and Joey with me, kind of keeping my mind off my nerves and being so encouraging. And also I had a great pep talk from Haley and Christian, and everyone was just so supportive. And then when I got there and I was able to meet the folks behind the show and the cast of the show, they were just so excited. They were just as excited as I was to get up on that stage and to be able to, one, celebrate with people who were into the show from season 1, and also spread the love for the show, because I'm not just saying it because I hosted the panel. If you haven't checked out Impulse yet, YouTube Original is really doing something special right now, especially going straight from Cobra Kai to watching Impulse. I've got my eye on them. It's a subscription service that right now I think is going to be well worth having. So that is another memory from Comic-Con this year that I will never, ever forget. We've got one more question to hit today, and this one was sent in by Kavi. Kavi wrote, if Disney sticks to their guns, pun totally intended, and doesn't bring back James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, are there any directors you'd feel confident about or would set you more at ease if it was announced they would be the specific one replacing him? P.S. I chose this question because Schnepp would be having a field day with this story right now. I can just imagine his rants about this. I'm so sorry for your loss. I met John once, and in the 10 minutes I spoke to him, it was as if he knew me his entire life. What an amazing guy. His impact on my fandom and general sweatiness will live on for the rest of my life. Rest easy, John. That was really beautiful, Kavi, so thank you for that last bit there. And I agree, Schnepp would be having a field day with this story right now. I'm gonna leave out the question of should they have fired him to begin with, and just gonna go into it assuming they will find a replacement. And when I first read the headline, before I even read the meat of the story, my mind initially went to Taika Waititi. And it's very easy for my mind to go there for a number of reasons. The really strong and stylish comedic tone of Thor Ragnarok and how great and effective that was. The fact that Thor Ragnarok was part of this cosmic universe, so we know that he can capture that. And then on top of that, Thor's involvement in Infinity War and putting him with the Guardians, it makes you connect the dots instantly. But to think of another example that I haven't seen thrown out there as much as, let's say, Taika Waititi, one of the ones that came to mind is Joe Cornish. I am a huge Attack the Block fan. I am waiting for him to direct another feature, but there's something about Attack the Block that combines a little bit of a sci-fi element, of course, but with heavy action and also this sass or this sharpness to the humor that I think would translate to the Guardians very, very well. And another one that came to mind is Karin Kusama. So one of her last movies, The Invitation, I've talked about it a lot, and I definitely think you should check it out. It's a little more of an intimate kind of horror movie, nothing big with big action or anything like that. But then I remembered Jennifer's Body, and that's another movie that it does have a little bit of action, but it's also got that really strong wit that I think comes through so well in Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course, I would love to see another female director enter the MCU, so I think she could be one well worth keeping an eye on. So those are my ideas. Do you have any other suggestions for who should direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? I want to hear them. Put them in the comments section. And now, before I wrap this up, I just want to give these 4 guys another huge thank you. Evan, Ryan, Michael, Kavi. You guys are longtime Patreon supporters, and I've said it to you many, many times. I will never stop saying it. Thank you so much. It's been so nice getting to know you guys on GChat and communicating through the Patreon Messenger. So thank you again for sticking with the campaign. It means a lot. Thanks a lot to everybody out there for watching this video. As always, don't forget to like and share it, and I'll see you soon with more Q&A videos.